So previously you've asked about what are the different processes or steps or tasks that we take to make sure that you and your family are protected when we do this type of work. So why don't I just take a few minutes and go through what some of those are. The regulation that governs how we protect you and your family is called the EPA's Renovation, Repair, and Painting Rule. It was put together a number of years ago, and they're actually starting to enforce it much more rigorously lately. Basically, there's three main concepts that the RRP rule sets out. And the first is that we have to contain any dust or debris that's created while we do this work. The second is we need to minimize the generation of that dust and debris. We don't want to make a lot of it, especially if it's airborne. And the third is there's some very specific processes we have to follow in terms of how we clean up. So let me talk a little bit about what containment is. Containment for an interior project is going to mean that we are going to remove or cover all the items in the room. We're going to lay very thick plastic down and seal that all the way around so that the entire floor is covered and we're not getting dust all over the floor. It means that we're going to create a containment barrier on the door that leads from whatever room we're working in into areas where we're not working. That's usually a double layer of plastic. And it's specifically designed to make sure that any dust or debris that's generated doesn't travel from the contaminated area to a non-contaminated area while we're doing the work.
So I won't be able to access those rooms?
There's not going to be anything for you in those rooms while we're doing the work anyway, because we're going to remove all those items or cover them all up. So there's really not a lot of reason for you to be in there. What I would strongly suggest is not only do you not go in those rooms until we tell you that it's safe, but that you also keep an eye on your son and make sure that he doesn't go in there. Kids get curious and they want to go in and see what's going on, and they want to see the tools and what are the guys doing and all of that. But that's it's a dangerous situation. We're going to minimize those risks, but we need your help in making sure that he doesn't go in there during that time period. The other thing that we're going to do is we're going to seal the register for the heating and air conditioning vent that's in there. This is a mistake that I see a lot of contractors that don't do this work correctly make. And the risk is that your heater or air conditioner goes on while there's dust in that room and it sucks it in or blows it all around, and then the entire house becomes contaminated. So we'll make sure that that's taken care of. Basically, that's the containment process that's used. The dust minimization processes that we use are there's two different techniques that we use. The first is using wet preparation methods, which means that we take a spray bottle and we lightly spritz some water on the different areas that we're going to be scraping or sanding, so that it creates less airborne dust. Any dust that's created is more of like a little sludge and is easily wiped off and cleaned up rather than blown into the air and possibly inhaled by either my employees or you and your family. The second method that we use is using what are called HEPA attachments to vacuums. These are special attachments that filter out very fine particulates. And they actually have attachments that go onto a hose that actually do the sanding and capture all that dust as it's created. So those are the two main methods that we use for minimizing that dust generation. The third concept there through the RRP rule is that we have to clean up in a very specific manner. This involves doing regular cleanup throughout the day, as well as thoroughly at the end of the day. And at the end of the project, there are some specific things that we have to do. One of them involves using a mopping method to make sure that any of the dust that was generated is not on the floors or that it's cleaned up.
You mean I get my house mopped too?
You actually do. Not only do you get it mopped, but we compare it to a standard to make sure that we are capturing everything. I believe I have a copy of this chart here where we actually use like a Swiffer type wet mop, and once it's used we have to compare it to this, and if it's lighter than this then we've achieved our goal. If it's darker, if it's as dark or darker than this, then we have to redo the entire cleaning process. So there's a visual inspection, there's a mopping that goes through and make sure that that's all done right, and then if there's any reason to believe that we haven't achieved the standard, then we start that entire cleaning process again from the beginning. So basically those are the processes that we use for doing the interior work in a lead-safe manner. Any questions about any of that?
No, it sounds pretty extensive though. And we had talked before about, how do I know that you are going to do these? Is there something that, you
There
can
certainly
say
is.
that you're going to do them, but I don't.
Exactly. And saying I'm going to do something and making sure that I do it are two different things. And when you hire a professional paint contractor, you don't want to be the one that's policing them.
Right.
You want to have trust that they're going to do it. So what we have here, this is called the Renovation Record Keeping Checklist. What this document does is allow us to make sure that we're doing everything in the order that we're supposed to be doing it in, and that everything is covered off. The top section talks about the name of my firm and what employees I have on the job site and what training levels they have, so that we know that we have the right level of training for the particular type of job we're undertaking. This next section talks about containment and the different things that are involved with that, as well as posting warning signs to keep you or your children out, so they at least know that there is a dangerous situation there. Setting up the plastic containment barriers, all these different types of things. The next section talks about the different types of protections we're taking, the work processes. Did we seal the HVAC ducts? Are the windows in the work area closed? A whole number of different things. And finally, it talks about what is the specific process we have to use to clean thoroughly to the right standard. Finally, at the end of this, we sign off that we've done all this, and we're more than happy to provide you with a copy of this form so that you know that we've actually used this as guidance for making sure we do things correctly.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It's nice to know that I would have a copy of the checklist of the things that you have done. So, and does the EPA get this? Or?
No, the EPA does not get this. We keep this on file for 3 years.
Oh, okay.
And what we'll also do is the mop heads that we use, we will also put those in sealable bags and hold on to those. So if there's any question going forward, whether we did what we were supposed to do, I have record that we were compliant, not only with the regulations, but ethically I want to feel like I did the right thing by you and your family.
Okay, great. So it sounds like it's a lot of work, but it sounds like you guys know what you're talking about. How much more does this cost?
I like to say that it doesn't cost anything more. Those contractors that don't do this, it costs less for them. It doesn't cost more to do it right. It costs less to cut corners and not protect you and your family. I'm not the low-cost provider. I do all the right training. I'm insured. We take care of our clients. If you compare me to other contractors that are all dressed up and insured and licensed and do the training and that sort of thing, I'm also not the most expensive. I should be in the middle of the pack somewhere. So when it comes down to comparing me and my company to any of the others, if you have an outlier that is really low price, it's because they're going to cut some corners. No contractor is going to take a job that they know they're going to lose money on. So he's going to cut corners in one way or another. Either he's not going to use the right processes, he's not using good labor, he's not paying taxes and insurance, he's using inferior products, or a combination of those different things. But no contractor is going to cut corners on it. So our price is going to be in the ballpark.
So is there some kind of certification or paper or something, like insurance? You have an insurance paper and
There certainly are.
There's
So
a contractor's license.
let me show you in this binder. I've got a number of different pieces of documentation. In here we show you, this is the EPA certification that says I'm a certified firm for doing this type of RRP lead work. There are a number of the certifications for my individual workers that they've completed that same course.
So should every contractor have that?
Every contractor is absolutely required by law to have that if they're doing this type of work in your home. So that's the other thing that you may want to do. If you find somebody that is coming in with a real low ball price, ask him to document that he's doing everything that he's supposed to be doing. This is just giving you sort of an education so that you can make an informed decision about who you're going to bring into your home and make sure that the work is done right, not put you and your family at risk.
Right.
Yeah.
It's very informative. I feel much more aware of the type of job that needs to be done now, and that they should be aware of the safety and the safety practices, because I don't want my children harmed, and I don't want to get sick.
No, and it's the law that we protect you, that we don't put you at risk. But there's guys out there that do that, so you have to do your due diligence.
Great. So back to sort of the costs on this. I know you said it costs less to do this, but are you going to prepare a quote for this? And
I am. If you give me about 20 minutes or half an hour, I'll put something together and you and I can sit down and go over it.
perfect. Thank you.
Okay.